To fight the enemy, we've got to know where he is and what he's doing. That's why reconnaissance photography plays such an important part in military operations. Photographic missions are carried out with extreme care, and the men of Uncle Sam's growing Air Force sometimes take great risks to get the picture G2 has to have. Good photographs provide detailed, accurate, up-to-the-minute information about enemy installations and activities. And when we have that information, the boys on the ground and in the air can put their bullets and bombs where they'll do the most good. But unless you can process the film and do it fast, the best reconnaissance planes and cameras in the world won't be much help to our advancing forces. And that's the job of the A2 Portable Laboratory and crew. Let's watch these boys go on a mission. The crew chief snaps his orders, and every man jumps to his job. Training, teamwork, speed. They'll need all three for this job. But before they can roll, everything loose has to be battened down, ship-shape and snug. That's why one man closes the A7 printer lid, so jolts won't break the printing glass and argon lamps. And he checks the expendable supplies. When you're miles from home and in a hurry, you can't go back for more developer, typo, or paper. He's got plenty to do, but so have the others. They'll need water, so one man connects the water hose to fill the auxiliary tank. They'll need to heat it later, so another checks the heater equipment. Every man's got his job, but no one's in the way. The darkroom men will start screaming for developer practically the minute they get there. That's why the sergeant is filling these chemical bags. He knows just how much of the chemicals to add, then how much water to do the job right. A quick stir to start the mixing, and rough roads will do the rest. For a good chemical cocktail, shake well for at least 10 miles. This is no place for gold bricks. Every man puts out plenty. Yep, the tank's full. It takes 2 men to turn off the water. First, the one inside. Then he tells the one outside, okay, it's off. So the outside man disconnects the hose. From now on, they'll take their water where they find it. Checking the gas in the generator fuel tanks is important because there are no city electric plants where this crew is going, and you need a dependable supply of juice when you're pushing pictures through. That's why they check and double-check the gas before they stow the generator. They'll need the safety chains to hitch the trailer. When they've checked everything else, stowed the equipment, and filled all the tanks, they close and lock the compartment door. And they're nearly ready to go. This 6-wheel, 2.5-ton Army cargo truck is standard equipment with the A2 Portable Lab, both for towing and servicing. The truck is backed into position, and they open the pintle latch and guide the truck all the way in. With the unit in proper coupling position, they lower the trailer assembly and lock the lunette ring to the hitch. The last job is rigging the trailer so it can ride behind the truck. They get ready to set the trailer wheels by pulling the locking pin and setting it higher up. Then they raise the wheels and fasten them in place. This finishes hitching the trailer. The next job is making it secure. The first thing they do here is to link the truck and trailer with the safety chain so the trailer won't run wild if the lunette ring should jerk loose. Then, for double protection, there's the safety brake chain. This sets the trailer's emergency brake if the safety chain snaps. And they make it longer than the safety chain, so the brakes won't set before the safety chain gives way. Okay, snapping on the last screen takes care of the inside. Outside, he's already finishing with the safety brake chain, and he reaches for the jumper cable, which supplies power for the trailer's brakes and taillights. He plugs it in, makes sure it's tight, and the trailer's hitched, ready to go. Nice timing. Here comes the inside man. Don't lose that key, Bud. Now, let's see. Doors locked? Yep. Miss anything? Nope. How's the hitch? Looks okay. How's that for making time? And there they go. They're on their way. The next job is selecting a good working location. And that reconnaissance plane ought to be landing any moment, so there's no time to waste. The most important thing is to find a natural source of water within 100 feet of the trailer. In a pinch, the A2 lab can use its own water supply, but plenty of water in reach of the intake hose is always best. The crew chief picked this spot because it was fairly close to the airplane's landing place, and he picked it in advance so the jeep with the film would know where to find it. Another important thing is spotting the trailer on a level place and making sure that it's close enough to the water supply to keep the lines from getting all tangled up. While this spot is ideal for our purpose to show clearly what happens, in a combat zone, it would be necessary to conceal the trailer from enemy observation, either under trees or some kind of camouflage. From now on, it's a race against time with everything happening at once. One job is to set up the trailer by itself. So they pull the brake cable, let down the wheels, and take off the safety brake chain. Before they can unhitch and drive the truck away, they've got to lock the towing wheels down to support the trailer. There's the pin, and it goes in the bottom hole. Now they slip the safety pin out of the hitch and unhitch the coupling. They raise the trailer to free the coupling, and the truck drives away. But the trailer has to be put up on planks for safety, so everybody push. One man locks the hot shot brake to hold the trailer steady. Watch the signals these boys use while they jack the trailer. These jacks steady the trailer, but won't support it. Another signal knocks, and the inside man drops the other jack on the block. How's that for teamwork? With the trailer steady, they can turn off the hot shot brake to save the battery. Looks like they're really going to set up housekeeping. But first, they've got to take the weight off those towing wheels. Before the tow can come down, the pin has to be placed in the proper hole. Then they lower the coupling assembly until it's approximately level and rest the tow on the block. When the tow is down, the wheels are raised. There, that proves they're off the ground. The heater equipment men are doing their stuff at the same time, and there's plenty of use for heat. Heat to hold the solutions at the right temperature, to warm the trailer, and when the prints are ready, to help dry them. In the meantime, some of the other boys have been busy connecting the water outlet hose and leading it down to the river. The small hose is the water intake. Before connecting it, this man checks the washers and connections to make sure there won't be any leaks when they get it working. In this case, the trailer has been torqued in such a way that the intake hose has to be crossed over the outlet hose in order to put the strainer upstream, and it has to be upstream to keep from sucking the chemicals from the outlet hose right back into the lab. The sergeant's got a reason for taking down that fire extinguisher. There it is. That fuel tank is full of gas, and in a few minutes it will be under pressure. So the fire extinguisher is set where it's handy. Then the fuel man uncoils the fuel hose, straightens it out to be sure there are no kinks in it, and connects it to the burner. The connection is going to have to stand 40 pounds pressure, so he makes it tight with wrenches. 40 pounds takes quite a while. So let's watch the generator men. They're setting up the first of the two 115-volt AC generators. The rheostat is turned to off before starting the generator. After opening the gas line and adjusting the choke according to weather conditions, he cranks the engine with a starter cord, like the kind on an outboard motor. Yeah, just like an outboard motor. It may take more than one try, but Then he plugs in the connecting cable, and a second later, the rheostat is turned to the on position. As soon as the power unit warms up, they plug the cable into the left-hand trailer compartment and throw the knife switch left when they use only one generator. The cable for the second generator plugs into the right-hand compartment, and the switch goes to the right or forward position. A foot caught in this cable could yank out the plug, so they tie it down and play safe. Rain and sun both are enemies of the power plant, so a canvas roof goes on each generator, and from now on they don't have to worry about power. What's the water for? Doesn't he have a pump? Oh, of course, it needs priming. But before he starts the pump, He checks with the blueprint, even if he knows it by heart, because that blueprint, marked the same as the valve, shows the 6 different positions of the valve which control the water flow. For instance, for water to spigot, the blueprint says he should turn the right-hand valve to the left and the left one up. So that's what he does. But suppose he wants water in the tank. In this case, the blueprint says he should turn the right-hand valve left and the other one down. One left, one down. It's as simple as that. Before he starts the pump, he opens one water outlet so the pressure won't back up. Then he starts to prime the pump and keeps priming it until the pump takes hold. Of course, it may take a while for the water to flow, and when it does, it will be nothing but cold river water. The next job will be to heat it. Well, he finally gets the pressure on that heater fuel tank up to 40 pounds. You can't just light one of these burners the way you would a kerosene stove. Like a blowtorch, these burners have an element that has to be preheated so the fuel will vaporize and come out as a gas. That's why he floods the generating pan with gasoline first. After closing the valve, he tosses in a lighted match. Notice he doesn't get too close, just in case. When the gasoline has burned out of the pan, the burner element is hot and can be lighted. He adjusts it to a hot, blue, smokeless flame. Normally, one element of this burner will give plenty of heat, so he saves the other one for zero weather or for emergency use. Back at the trailer, he fits the burner to the trailer heater body. When he's ready to plug in the water heating element, he signals the man inside who starts the hot water circulating pump and signals back that it's okay to insert the heating element. And that water has to circulate, or the heating element may burn out. But that glass elbow joint makes it easy to check. The hot water storage tank takes the water from the pump, and from there, pipes lead it down to the sink spigot. Hot water, a long way from home. Now we can see one of the reasons why that heating equipment has to be set up and working right away, to get the solutions in the developing trays just warm or cool enough. Here's how it's done. These trays have double bottoms, and water is circulated through baffle plates underneath at just the proper temperature. Maintaining that water at exactly the right temperature all the time is done in the next room by a thermostatic control called a temp-right unit. All the comforts of home. Hot air ducts control the temperature of the air separately in each of the 2 rooms. By mixing the hot air by means of levers with the cold air that enters through these ducts, the boys can have any weather they want. A twist of the wrist, and it's June in January. The same system supplies the ferrotype compartment, and hot air even goes to the film dryer when this damper is put on the air vent on the table. In the meantime, other important things have to be done. The Jeep's got to meet this airplane and get the film that's coming in right to the lab and to the men who need it without a wasted second. There's the Jeep. It's a split-second rendezvous. And take good care of that film, buddy. When the A2 portable lab is through with it, it will tell our bombers exactly where to lay their eggs. This crew's been working like beavers, and there's still plenty to do. For instance, they've got to set up the canopy, so they'll have all-weather working space for some of the operations that can't be done inside the trailer. Also, protection against the heat or cold. They begin by laying the canopy out flat on the ground and attaching the throw rope. There goes the extension bar that holds the canopy up over the trailer. The boys know that the Jeep is coming closer every second, and they have to get that canopy up in a hurry. The ropes are attached, so over they go. And are caught on the other side. Everybody heaves, and the canopy starts to go over. It's a good job of teamwork, with every man knowing exactly what he has to do and nobody getting in the way. It's not as simple as putting up a tent either. There's a lot of bracing involved in keeping up this big canopy. Eave pole assemblies have to be slid into the tunnel. And then upright poles with movable collars for adjustment fitted into the eave loops and raised into position to hold everything up where it belongs. There goes the last upright, and the canopy is in the air. No matter how much of a hurry they're in, the boys have to carry this through step by step. lacing the canopy to the lugs on the side of the trailer. It's a whole lot like lacing up a pair of high-top leather boots and takes just about the same time. The vent pipe ring goes through that slit, ready for the heater vent pipe. When the whole works is laced down snug and tight to keep out dust and weather, they make fast the corners, and the canopy is ready. That takes care of the biggest job of getting the canopy up. But there are still a lot of odds and ends to tend to. One is pulling the guy ropes tight and staking them. Once the canopy is up, they can slip the heater vent pipe through the vent pipe ring. Then they make the connections from the heater to the hot air flues by removing the cover plate and inserting the pipe. There's nothing like keeping out dust when you're developing film. That's the reason for the wheel well cover. The rod along the top of the cover is slipped into grooves at the sides. That holds it smoothly at the top, and the snaps pack it firmly at the bottom. Clever and simple. The boys are getting close to the end of this particular part of the job when they hang the sidewalls on the canopy. The sidewalls are threaded on one side, strapped and snapped at the other, snapped at the top, and finally staked at the bottom. Just to make the canopy more stable, they run the end ropes out about 30 degrees to the side, tighten them, and the canopy's up. And none too soon. That Jeep is really flying. No matter how much of a hurry you're in, here's how not to do it. Magicians call this the disappearing rope trick. Superman might be able to do it this way, but ordinary human beings get a little tangled up. It looks like a whole lot of activity, but working this way, it will take about a week to accomplish what an ordinary man can do in a day. So remember, haste makes waste. Let's get back to normal and see what there is to do after the canopy is up. This may look like a giant-sized erector set, but it's really the knockdown print dryer knocked down. If they didn't carry the print dryer in these compact sections, they'd have to provide a separate trailer for it. Completely assembled, it's just about the size of a meat market icebox. While the knockdown print dryer is being put together, let's see about providing it with a source of heat. And here it is, the same faithful heater which has already heated the water and the interior of the trailer. Since that job has been done now, it's the work of a few seconds to disconnect the heater and carry it to a place outside of the canopy near the print dryer. Of course, there has to be some way of getting the heat from the heater to the print dryer, and these lightweight, flexible pipes fill the bill perfectly. While the men under the canopy finish assembling the print dryer, the heater men attach the pipes from the heater to the unit. The only thing they have to do now is place the blower under the print dryer and direct the current of warm air where it will do the most good. As soon as the blower is set up and working, the men can go ahead with the final stages of assembling the print dryer, fastening on the sidewalls. When the sidewalls have been hung around the top of the dryer like shower curtains and the sides made fast, the whole assembly is practically dust-proof. That leaves only one thing to do before the film arrives, and that is to set up the portable tables. Like the print dryer, the tables are pretty unwieldy articles, which is why they're carried in the trailer in collapsible sections. However, when the sections are assembled, the trailer crew has a couple of sturdy stands with big surfaces on which to letter and pot the films, assemble the prints, and in general do anything that requires a table. From now on, the laboratory is all set for action. Here it is. Everything the trailer crew has done so far has been preparation for this moment, and they've done their job well without a second to spare. One slip-up, one little delay, and they wouldn't have been ready. But they are ready, and from now on the question is, how fast can they process that film? Let's see what happens when they put that film through the production line. The first job is negative development. Before development can be started, the film has to be placed in the B4 developing assembly. Watch the way this darkroom operator does it entirely by the sense of touch. At the outer end of the roll is about 6 feet of paper trailer. He tears this. Then he threads the end of the negative into one spool of the developing assembly and winds the negative up on it until he reaches the cellulose leader at the other end. The operator tears off this piece of leader and discards it. Then he clips the corners of the negative end with a pair of scissors and carefully threads this end of the film into the second spool of the developing assembly. This takes a little time because he has only his touch to tell him whether the film is centered on the spool. When he has tightened the film on the spool and wound it back a few turns, he's ready to develop it. Before putting the film in developer, he rolls it through once by hand in water to wet it. Then he puts the assembly in the developing solution and attaches the motor. The motor winds it back and forth on the spools like a typewriter ribbon. When development is complete and the negative has been fixed and washed, the operator lifts the roll film dryer out of the bench, attaches the hot air damper, and gets ready to dry the negative. He sets the film spool so the film can unroll onto the dryer. The end of the negative has to be trimmed first so that it will fit into the metal clip which guides the negative through the roll film dryer. This dryer is so made that when the film has been pulled through one complete circumference of the dryer, the warm air from the ferrotype tunnel will have dried it. This process simply can't be hurried. The negative just has to have enough time to dry, and that's all there's to it. To remove excess water and sediment, and to help the film dry faster, the operator gently sponges the negative as it starts around the dryer. Of course, if they're in a terrific hurry, there's one thing the operator can do to speed the job. And here he does it. As soon as a few exposures are dry, he cuts them off and hands them to the plotter. The plotter takes the cut negative outside and letters it on the portable table, which may be set up either inside the laboratory or under the canopy. And lettering the film is important. When the prints are ready to be matched, the letters and numbers will be the only way of keeping the prints in correct order without wasting a lot of time matching them by inspection. When the plotter has finished lettering the films, he takes them to the printing room. The prints are made from the negative and run through according to normal developing procedures. But there's one thing to notice, and that is how fast the whole thing goes compared to ordinary printing lab standards. The main reason for this is that these contact prints are made on extremely fast Type 9 paper. This is the paper you'll be using overseas. It has very wide latitude, and you can do the complete job of processing it in as little as 2 minutes. Watch this. Here come what the boys have been working for all along. A sharp, clear picture of what the enemy is doing. Of course, there are going to be a few changes in that landscape after intelligence has looked it over and given the word to our bombers. The reason this paper can be processed so fast is that it has a waterproof base. It doesn't soak up solution in developing or fixing, which would have to be washed out later. Only the emulsion takes up liquid. And of course, that makes for fast drying, too. In fact, this Type 9 paper is so fast that if you let prints stay in solutions or water more than a total of 7 minutes, you'll have trouble. The paper will curl up, and you'll find it about as easy to straighten as so many wood shavings. Here's the last stage of making the prints, washing them in this compact, hand-operated washing machine. As soon as the prints are washed enough, the operator signals the man next door to take them away. This is a quick way to get off excess moisture, putting the prints between sheets of blotting paper. It's a regular production line. The man on the right is still drying negative. Rolling the blotting paper soaks up the last drop. Keep your shirt on, driver. If the boys went any faster, it wouldn't do those prints any good. The blotting has taken out practically all the moisture, but there's still a little. And the best way to get it out is the knockdown dryer. He spreads the prints out over the screen. When he closes the flaps, the hot air coming up from the blower will carry away what moisture is left in that Type 9 paper in no time at all. Of course, handled correctly, Type 9 paper doesn't need straightening, but most other papers do. So, for those cases, this handy print straightener is the answer. Sitting upside down on the finishing room table, it's a matter of seconds to lift it out and start it going. There they go. This handy little print straightener takes them as fast as they can be fed in. In a minute, these prints will be matched together in a long strip, so detail has to go right out to the edges. That means each print has to be trimmed so no edges of black can hide important detail. When the prints are trimmed, the crew chief takes them and, for the most urgent deliveries, staples or tapes them on the spot. In this case, he uses tape. The foundation of the finally assembled recon strip will be 2 long tapes which will run lengthwise under the whole strip. Now, don't worry, pal, they're almost through. This is one of those things you just can't hurry too much. Each one of those prints has got to overlap the others so everything matches perfectly from end to end. Here's where it pays to take enough time to be accurate. It's just about finished. A perfect reproduction of what the camera in that reconnaissance plane saw a few minutes ago as it flashed along over enemy territory. And there it is. That's precious cargo, Lieutenant, so roll it up carefully. And it's in the can. Take it away, driver. From now on, it's up to you. The prints are on their way. Good prints, made fast. The men of the A2 Portable Lab have done their best to see the job of aerial reconnaissance. Their work has produced the sharp, clear prints that tell where the enemy is and what he's doing. The eyes of the air have become the eyes of the Army. They have shown, in pictures, where to catch the enemy by the throat and smash him, till he quits.